Would you like to know how to get more views on YouTube for years? Yeah, that's the expertise that I have. I produce 20 different YouTube channels and we use the same strategy on all of them. This really works. So I'm going to start out in this episode laying a foundation of marketing and where YouTube fits in so you really understand why this strategy works so well. Then I'll go into details about my YouTube strategy, the one that works so well for influencer or expert businesses like coaches, speakers, authors, course creators. This is the strategy you need to learn. There's an important distinction between traditional marketing or advertising and content marketing. In fact, I don't really look at content marketing as marketing or advertising because it's so different. So traditional marketing, whether it's old school like billboards or newspapers or radio, or modern like digital advertising, banner ads or video ads, all of those provide an interruption to what you're already doing. So whether you're reading the newspaper or listening to the radio and you get interrupted, or you're driving around a beautiful scenery and then there's this big billboard, or you're watching a video on YouTube, or you're on Facebook and banners just come up in your face. They really interrupt you, and that's no fun. Nobody likes that type of advertising. So it also costs a lot. It can be really expensive to market to enough people to get you the results that you want. And then with traditional advertising or banners or videos or commercials, people have a very short attention span. So you've got to give them a lot of information really quick. You've got to play the game of keeping them entertained in a short amount of time. Think about a Super Bowl commercial and how much money and time and energy goes into just a 30-second spot. Okay, now let's take off the weight of that type of marketing and let's talk about content marketing and what that is. When you're putting helpful content out there, whether it's an article or a YouTube episode, you're giving value. You're answering people's questions. This is content that people search for and they gladly watch because that's what they wanted to find. They stay with you much longer. They'll read the whole article or they'll watch the entire video, making eye contact with you the whole time. So it creates loyalty, it educates, and this type of content, you're not pushing it out there, but it actually attracts your target audience. The people who are really looking for you find you. Now let's talk about evergreen content. You like what I did here? See, what is evergreen content? It's content that lasts forever. It doesn't expire. So typical advertising, that's not evergreen at all. You got to keep paying to keep it out there in front of people. But when you make how-to videos, you put those on YouTube, they stay there for years and they continue to get you results for many, many years. Let's compare it to Facebook. What if you have a video that does really, really well? It's one of your most viral videos. Okay, it gets all those views on day one. Day two, you probably still get some more views because it's a high performer for you. What about a week later? Probably not getting any more views. What about a month later? You're definitely not getting any more views a month later, a year later, 2 years later. Yeah, it's just at the bottom of the pile. In order to keep getting views on Facebook or most social media, you've got to just keep putting out fresh content every single day or every single week. But on YouTube, if you're putting out 5 episodes a week, fast forward a year, you've put out 260 episodes. Guess what? All 260 of them are still getting views. So it's just like making that snowball bigger and bigger and bigger. You're building a marketing machine in your business that's going to last you for years and years and years. So that sounds good, right? How do you create evergreen content? Okay, the first step, create how-to videos. These videos are going to actually answer questions. So people are going onto Google and YouTube right now asking questions, how to do this, or what's the best way to do that? You're just going to answer those questions in your videos. Now, the way that I described that probably sounded pretty easy, okay? And it's simple, but you have to find the right questions, okay? You have to find the questions, the way that people are actually wording them consistently on YouTube each month. So you've got to do a bit of keyword research, and I've got a whole video up here that will lay out my whole strategy for you. The video is called How to Get 1,000 Subscribers on YouTube in a Day. So when you follow the strategy like I trained there, what you'll do is you'll find the questions that people are asking that are actually searching for you and just don't know that you exist, right? They're going to find your videos and see you as their hero. Would you like to know how to trick the YouTube algorithm? Okay, stop right there. It hurts me just to say that out loud. Everything that I've done and everything that I teach is actually to form an alignment with the YouTube algorithm. We're making content that people want to find. So when the algorithm changes, instead of hurting us or shutting us down or closing down those loopholes, we actually get better results. It really works that way. When you try and trick the Google or the YouTube algorithm, it's like you're creating a fake backlink authority. The smarter the algorithms get, they can see right through that. It doesn't build a community. You don't get real engagement because it's all fake traffic. So that was the old strategy with website SEO. We tried to trick Google and create this fake or artificial authority for a website to get it to rank above the competition. I'm so glad we don't have to do that on YouTube, because doesn't that sound like a whole bunch of work? It really was a headache, and I'm so glad that those days are behind me. Would you like to know the better way? Because if you know how the YouTube algorithm works, then you can work with the algorithm or create content that the algorithm is looking for and that will please the algorithm and make the algorithm want to share your content to more and more people. So here's an example of how the YouTube algorithm works. YouTube likes watch time. So just by making a video that's longer and keeps people's attention for longer, that will impress the YouTube algorithm, and YouTube will want to recommend that video to more and more people. Now, people use the YouTube search engine heavily. Okay, so if you make content that people are searching for, and when those people find your content, they like it, they find what they're searching for, the YouTube search engine will recommend your video to more and more people. Okay, hold on just a minute. I just noticed you haven't subscribed yet. So go ahead and click that red button. Go ahead. All right, now let's continue. Let's talk about how to do YouTube keyword research. That is what I'm known for. I'm the world's foremost YouTube keyword research expert. I've got a whole series of videos on my channel, so you can link to a playlist right up there where I actually demo this for you. What my strategy does is it throws out all the stressful, all the overwhelming SEO, keyword research stuff that we used to have to do when we were competing to try and get our websites to rank on the top of Google. I was really good at that. I'm so glad though that I don't have to do that anymore. The strategy that I use now on YouTube is way more simple and it works way faster. All you need to do is find the leaves. So let me share with you my tree analogy. Okay, so a tree has a very broad trunk that goes out into branches. At the end of those branches there are leaves. Okay, so the trunk represents your broad area of expertise. The one thing or the few things that you are really good at. This is your core area of expertise, okay? The branches represent the different categories, right? So if you were to write a book on your core area of expertise, the branches might represent the different chapters of that book, okay? The leaves, those represent the very, very specific questions that people are asking when they go to Google or YouTube, right? So those are the leaves, the very, very specific questions in each of those categories or chapters or branches. Okay, so the whole purpose of this analogy is to say we don't want to make trunk videos. We don't want to make branch videos. We only want to make leaf videos. The good news is, in our mind, all we have to think of is the trunk or the branch. And that's really easy. We don't have to think of the leaves because there's a tool that does that work for us. Just one tool, it's really simple, and I'll demonstrate that for you in just a minute. When people learn what I do on YouTube and that I do keyword research and stuff like that, they always ask the question, well, how do you add the keywords to YouTube? The interesting answer to that is you don't really have to worry about it. If you do the keyword research before filming, YouTube does the rest. So here's something that will surprise you. You could actually leave the keyword field blank. You can leave it blank because if you do the keyword research first, you already know what the title is. You've done keyword research for the title, and when you record the episode, you're naturally going to answer the question and say all the right words. YouTube transcribes that. So YouTube knows exactly what you talked about, and that's how it knows what to rank your video for. So how do you add keywords to your YouTube video? You do the keyword research before you film and you give your video the right title. That's it. Now to be clear, you do have to do the keyword research before you film. So let me give you an example. Doreen Spackman came to me one day and said, I've got a great sore throat remedy. Okay, if we would have filmed that episode and then done keyword research, we would have found the title, How to Get Rid of Strep Throat Without Antibiotics. We couldn't have just then after the fact given that sore throat video that title about getting rid of strep throat without antibiotics because she wouldn't have said those words. It wouldn't have been specific enough. When you do keyword research, the way that I teach on my channel here, you've got to find really specific phrases. And so there's no way that you can go back to videos you've filmed in the past and give them really specific phrases because you wouldn't have been that specific in the episode. Okay, now I'm going to show you the best YouTube keyword research tool. It's right here. It's called the Keyword Magic Tool. Up in the top left corner, you'll see SEMrush. That's the website that we're on. This website has a ton of tools. I don't use any other tool of theirs, but this one. This one is amazing. Let me demonstrate it for you. Let's say you're an expert at podcasting and you wanted to make a YouTube channel to teach other people how to do podcasting. So podcast or podcasting, that is your trunk, right? So we'll just put that in this search bar. You put podcast and then you hit search. Then you come over here and you always turn this button on, the questions button. So you turn on questions. Then I turn on an advanced filter for word count, and then that's it. Okay, so I turned a word count to a minimum of 8. That means I'm looking for 8-word questions about podcasting. So I did this previously, and as I started combing through all of the results, I found so many unique titles. Now there's some titles that are similar, right? They're worded slightly different, but they're pretty much the same question. So I skipped those that kind of seemed like the same question, and I combed through and I found 114 different titles that I thought could stand as unique YouTube episodes. So I'm never going to run out of ideas for episodes using this tool. I know you can't see that. Let me zoom in here and I'll show you some examples. What equipment do you need to start a podcast? That would make a great episode. How much money can you make from a podcast? How to record a podcast with people in different locations? How to make a podcast without a microphone? Yeah, if you know how to do that, go ahead and comment below because I don't know if that's possible. How to market your podcast on social media? That would be a great episode. What makes a podcaster different from a YouTuber? Yeah, that would be a fun one to watch. Okay, notice over on the right, there's the number 10. That means that there are 10 searches per month on Google or YouTube for that exact phrase. Now, what makes a podcaster different from a YouTuber? That's 8 words long. So that's a really, really specific phrase. And there are 10 people that are typing in that long phrase. That is actually gold. Typically, when you go after phrases like this that are that long, you typically eliminate all the competition. So here's what happens. These 10 people go to Google or YouTube and they type in this question. Your video pops up and of course they click on it because that's exactly what they were searching for, and they watch it all the way to the end because it's so relevant to them. Then the YouTube algorithm sees that and says, wow, this is a valuable video. Let's suggest this video to more and more people like these first 10. So your video starts out getting a trickle of search traffic, which by the way, that trickle lasts for years and years and years. So this video becomes a marketing machine to your exact target audience. But as that trickle starts, then the YouTube algorithm can start to promote your video to more and more. So it just builds more and more momentum over time. So by using my leaf strategy and using this tool, the Keyword Magic Tool, you'll never run out of topics and you'll make sure that every video has a built-in audience. Otherwise, you can make an amazing video, you put it on YouTube, and no one sees it. You've got to be strategic, and doing this, make sure that your video will automatically be marketed to that audience. The most exciting channel that I produce right now is Noelle Randall's, and I just did an interview with her, so I invite you to go check out that episode next, Noelle Randall.